This was the first time she was stepping out of her heart in years, and the villagers all looked at her in shock as they never believed that Adan was still alive. Once upon a time, there lived a very beautiful girl named Adan. Adan was born a normal girl, but as time went by, she grew older and noticed that she was now growing long beards. This made Adan so insecure about herself, as people in the village laughed at her, calling her a boy girl. Whenever Adan walked past them, they would throw funny remarks at her, saying that she was gradually transforming into a boy. The girls in the village refused to be friends with her, as they were too ashamed to be friends with her, as they were too ashamed to be associated with a girl who grew beards. This made Adan so sad, as she made up her mind never to leave her heart for any reason. Her mother did all she could to encourage her to overlook what the villagers were saying about her. But Adan could not shut her ears to the horrible names that the people called her. She thought to herself that her best bet was to excommunicate herself completely from the villagers, as she made her heart her safe haven. This was not an easy decision for Adan, who wished her life was not so complicated. She attempted to take her life on several occasions, but was dissuaded by a still voice in her head, which kept assuring her that everything would be all right. For years, no one heard or saw Adan, and the villagers began to peddle rumors that Adan was dead, but no one knew for sure, especially when Adan never showed up at her own mother's funeral. One day, some villagers were talking about Adan when a young man, who recently moved into the village, heard all they said and approached them. He asked them where Adan lived, and they directed him to her heart, which was a short distance from where they stood. The young man was so curious and decided to visit Adan's heart. He knocked on the door, but no one opened the door for him. The young man kept knocking for hours and decided to enter the heart to see if anyone was around. To his greatest surprise, he saw Adan sitting at the corner of her room, looking so sad. The young man approached Adan and introduced himself to her as Ayo. He asked her why she decided to lock herself up in her heart, and Adan explained to him that she hated her beards and wished it would all go away. Ayo listened intently as Adan poured out her heart. He could sense the pain and loneliness that had consumed her for years. Adan went on to explain how the taunts and ridicule from the villagers had taken a toll on herself, esteem leading her to withdraw completely from the world. It was then that Ayo told her that he had been looking for her for months. He was from a faraway village and had traveled from one village to the other in search of Adan. Adan opened her mouth in shock, as she could not understand why Ayo had been looking for her. Curious to know, Adan asked why he had been looking for her for months, and Ayo told her to journey with him to his village. As there lay her answer. Adan, although skeptical, agreed to follow Ayo to his village. This was the first time she was stepping out of her heart in years, and the villagers all looked at her in shock, as they never believed that Adan was still alive. They laughed at her as she passed, calling her horrible names, but Ayo encouraged her not to listen to them, as true beauty went beyond physical appearances. Adan was so excited to finally leave her village, as all she ever felt there was resentment for her own people, who hated her because she was different. They journeyed for hours and arrived at a very small village. Ayo welcomed Adan to his village, and Adan realized that the people of this village were extremely friendly. Right from the village gate, Adan was welcomed with smiles and compliments from random villagers who seemed not to care that she had beards. This was shocking to Adan, who had never felt this appreciated in her entire life. She walked with Ayo for some minutes and arrived at the king's palace. To her greatest surprise, she saw a little girl who looked so sickly, lying by the palace gate. Filled with compassion, Adan approached the sick girl, and to her surprise, the girl was healed instantly. Adan could not believe what happened and looked at Ayo in shock. They walked into the palace, and Adan met a girl who looked exactly like her. She had a beard too, like Adan, and Ayo introduced Adan to the girl as Princess Ola. Confused as to what was happening, Adan asked how this was possible, and Ayo revealed to her that she, Adan, was the long-lost daughter of his father, the king. Adan opened her mouth in shock, as she never knew that she had a twin sister and that Ayo was her brother. Adan was still trying to wrap her head around what was happening when the king emerged from his inner chamber and approached her, welcoming her back home. Adan had never been this confused in her life. She asked how this was possible, and the king narrated to her how he fell in love with Adan's mother many years ago. He wanted to marry her, but his family kicked against it because he was of royal blood, and Adan's mother was seen as a commoner. The royal family mandated him to marry the daughter of the king of the neighboring village because she was of royal blood, and he consented because they threatened to take the throne away from him if he went against their wishes. What they did not know was that Adan's mother was already pregnant with twins. In their kingdom, twins were seen as a taboo and thrown into the evil forest. So, when Adan's mother realized that she had given birth to twins, she pleaded with the midwife to keep it a secret and handed one of the twins over to the midwife, pleading with her to take the baby to the king. While she ran away with the other twin, she told the midwife to promise her never to reveal that the baby was a twin, and the midwife did as she was instructed and took one of the babies, Ola, to the king, revealing that the baby was the king's daughter. Adan's mother, on the other hand, absconded from the village with the second twin and settled in a faraway village where no one knew her. However, after a few years, the king noticed that his daughter had begun to grow beards. He wondered how this was possible, as no woman in the village ever had beards. He sought solutions, but nothing seemed to work. One day, the king invited a seer to the palace, who revealed that the king's daughter was a twin. The seer went on to reveal that the twins would continue to grow beards until they were reunited, as their separation was the reason why they both began to grow beards. The seer revealed that the twins had great powers, which was evident in the beards growing underneath their chin, and that as long as the twins remained apart, the beards would continue to grow. The seer then went on to tell the king that twins were not a curse, as everyone had thought, but that they were so powerful and capable of bringing fortune to a land. The king opened his mouth in shock, as he never knew that his daughter was a twin. They began their search for the missing twin and moved from village to village, but no one saw or heard anything about the missing twin until Ayo bumped into the villagers who were talking about the strange girl with beards. Adan could not believe that she was a princess who had a twin sister that looked exactly like her. She was so overjoyed to finally be around people who understood her genuinely. As Adan reunited with her twin sister, the beards miraculously disappeared, and Adan and her twin were so overjoyed. With their combined powers, their village flourished in a way that it had never done before. The twins never spent a minute apart as they caught up on lost time. One afternoon, the king received some visitors who revealed to him that they had come to take Adan away, as she belonged to their kingdom and not his. They explained that the king's son came into their village to take Adan away, and that they had come to take her back. The king, confused as to why the people needed her back, considering how terribly they had treated her over the years, asked their reason for wanting her back. They revealed that since Adan left their village, the people had been suffering and toiling. A very powerful man revealed to them that all he needed to restore their wealth were some freshly cut strands from Adan's beards. The powerful man warned that he needed Adan present to cut the beard himself to perform the restoration ritual, and that the people should ensure that they return with Adan, or else their wealth would never be restored. The powerful man revealed that, over the years, their village only prospered because of Adan's presence, and the moment Adan left their village, all the luck that they had enjoyed for all these years was taken away. When the king heard this, he sent his guards to call his daughter, Adan, and when Adan arrived, the people screamed in pain and disappointment as they noticed that Adan's beards were gone. They returned to their village, sad and unsure of how to combat the pain and suffering that they were encountering. Everyone in the village began to regret how badly they treated Adan, not knowing that she was the source of their wealth and prosperity for all these years. As the people deliberated on what next to do, they heard loud screams of joy. Adan had returned to their village, promising to restore their wealth permanently, and the people were so overjoyed. As seasons passed, the village began to flourish in ways that they had never imagined. Adan, who was once rejected and insulted by the villagers, became their only beacon of hope. The people regretted all they did to her as they tendered their heartfelt apology to her, promising never to discriminate against anyone ever again. The story of Adan teaches us the immense power of our words and actions. It reminds us that words can either uplift someone, filling them with hope and strength, or deeply wound them, leaving scars that last a lifetime. Adan's journey shows that even those who are rejected and ridiculed can possess unique qualities that benefit the entire community. It's crucial to treat others with kindness and understanding, as we often fail to realize the true value of someone until they are no longer in our lives. So, let us all strive to speak kind words, support one another, and embrace differences. Life is unpredictable, and a little kindness can go a long way in making it better for everyone. Thank you for watching this story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment to let us know your thoughts. Be sure to check out more exciting and meaningful stories on our channel. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video. The camera went into labor. There was a heavy rain and so much thunder and lightning. The thunder and lightning were so intense that everyone became scared, but Kesia knew that everything was going to be okay. She remembered the dream vividly, the old woman's comforting words echoing in her mind. "Your prayers have been heard. You will soon be a mother," the woman had said. This memory gave Kesia strength as she braced herself for what was to come. Once upon a time in the village of Omokiri, there was a woman named Kesia. She was a kind and gentle woman, but she was also a very sad woman. Kesia was married to Mr. Nduka. They had been married for 12 years, but they had never been able to have children. This made Kesia very unhappy. The villagers mocked her every time she passed. One even called her a witch. Kesia would hear all this and pretend like she didn't because she was a very peaceful woman. She was an object of mockery in the whole village. She was not allowed to be in the mothers' meeting, nor was she allowed to be in the women's August meeting. She was always watching from afar when such events happened. The pain of exclusion weighed on her heart like a heavy stone. One day, there was an Umata meeting happening in the village square. Kesia, who had always been so anxious to know what the meeting was all about and how it was done, decided to attend the meeting that very day. But as she stepped in among the women, she saw a group of women laughing at her. The first woman said to her, "What are you doing here, witch? You don't belong here. Please, this is a gathering for women, not men. Please leave us." They called her a man and mocked her. Kesia was hurt by their words, but she didn't say anything. She just turned and walked away. As she walked home, she thought about what had happened. The words stung deeply, but she held her tears until she reached the safety of her home. Kesia went home with tears on her face. She couldn't stop weeping. Her husband Nuka tried to comfort her, but she couldn't stop crying. "I wish I could give you children," Kesia replied to him. "It is not your fault. I am just so tired of being mocked. Why is my own so different? Why is my own so different? Why do I have to go through all this humiliation? God, why have you forsaken me?" She was so sad that she continued crying bitterly. This made Kesia stay indoors. She hardly left home. Each time she left home, she would receive insults from other women, so she hardly went out. But one day, there was no food in the house. Kesia decided to go to the market to pick some foodstuffs to prepare lunch for her husband, who would be back from work soon. Once she got to the market, she was about to walk past the stores when she saw a woman selling herbs. The woman called out to Kesia and told her that she had special herbs that could help her have children. Kesia didn't believe her at first, but she was also desperate. She bought the herbs and took them home. Kesia drank the herbs before going to bed. That night, Kesia had a dream. In her dream, she saw a woman coming towards her carrying a baby. The woman said to her daughter, "What do you remember? Your prayers have been heard. You will soon be a mother very, very soon. Do not cry." The next day, Kesia took the herbs again, and the day after that. 2 weeks later, Kesia discovered that she was pregnant. She was so happy that she couldn't believe it. She was so happy that she couldn't believe it. She told Nuka the good news and he was overjoyed. After 8 months, it was almost time for Kesia to give birth. But the night before she was meant to give birth, she had another dream. In her dream, she saw the same old woman she had seen before. The woman said to her, "Do not cut your daughter's hair for as long as you live. The night you give birth, a great sign will happen, and people will shine envy upon you. Everyone will be envious because no one has ever seen such a child." Kesia woke up excited but also curious. After some time, she became curious about why she was asked never to cut her daughter's hair, but she didn't take it seriously and went on with her daily duties. That evening, Kesia went into labor. There was a heavy rain and so much thunder and lightning. The thunder and lightning was so intense that everyone became scared, but Kesia knew that everything was going to be okay. She had a special child inside of her, and she was going to do great things. The midwife, a kind elderly woman, stayed with her through the night, whispering prayers and encouragement. Kesia, after going through a lot of complications, finally gave birth to a beautiful light-skinned baby girl. She and her husband named her Tama. The baby's cry was strong, echoing through the house, as if announcing her arrival to the world. The villagers were amazed. They had never seen anything like this before. They stopped mocking Kesia and started to praise and congratulate her. But some villagers were spreading rumors about what happened the previous night. Some said that the strong lightning and the heavy downpour were a result of Kesia's daughter, and that it was a sign of bad luck. Others whispered that Toma was a divine child sent to bring change to their village. Kesia ignored the rumors and focused on raising her daughter. Toma grew up to be a beautiful and intelligent young woman. She was so beautiful that her peers were jealous of her beauty. She was also very kind and compassionate. Kesia was so proud of her beautiful daughter. Toma, however, didn't know that she was born with spiritual powers. One day, Kesia caught her daughter talking and laughing in her room. She was so surprised that she asked her, "Who are you talking to?" She replied, "I am talking to my friends." Kesia was shocked. She asked, "Who are your friends?" Toma pointed to the wall. Kesia came and looked around the house, but she saw no one. She became so scared. She remembered the dream she had the night before she gave birth to Toma, bites of all nights. She decided to get to the roots of the problem. She embarked on a journey to visit the village chief priest. The path to the chief priest's hut was long and winding with tall palm trees swaying gently in the breeze. When she got there, she told the chief priest about the strange behavior her daughter had exhibited earlier. The chief priest's hut was adorned with ancient carvings, and the scent of burning herbs filled the air. The chief reassured her, "Don't worry, your daughter is a gifted child. She has been blessed with spiritual powers and can communicate with people from the spiritual realm. She possesses spiritual powers to redeem and defeat. So, Kesia, don't be scared. She is harmless." Disappointed, but still not convinced by what the chief priest told her, when Kesia came home, she saw different types of gifts in front of her doorstep. The gifts were wrapped in colorful cloths, their vibrant hues glowing in the evening light. She saw foodstuffs, gold, and different kinds of gifts inside each basket. She was so surprised, and she asked who brought this just here. They told her it was a token of appreciation for the deeds of her dear daughter. Her daughter had been going around healing people in the village. Kesia was amazed. She had no idea that her daughter was capable of such things. Kesia was very happy, but she was also worried. She knew that the people in the village were not nice people, and she was afraid that they might turn against Toma for her good deeds. She decided that she needed to find a way to protect her daughter. When Toma got back home, her mother tried to stop her from healing people, but Toma insisted that she had to continue because it was her destiny. Toma's eyes glowed with determination, her voice unwavering. Kesia was disappointed, but she knew that she could not stop her daughter. By that time, there was a rumor going around the village about Toma and her strange healing power. One morning, when Kesia, Toma's mother, was going to the market, she heard people saying that Toma was a witch who was killing people after healing them. She was horrified. Kesia was not happy. She spoke to her husband, Mr. Nduka, about it, but he told her to let their daughter be. Mr. Nduka sat quietly stroking his beard as he spoke, his tone calm but resolute. Kesia was not satisfied with the reply she received from her husband, so she decided to carry out a very dangerous and sinister plan. She said to herself, "I will wait for Toma to fall asleep, then I'll cut her hair. Maybe cutting her hair will make her lose her spiritual gifts and powers." She smiled. When Toma went to bed that night, Kesia snuck into her room and began to cut Thoma's hair. The room was dimly lit by the moonlight streaming through the window, casting shadows on the walls. After cutting her hair, she pretended to be sleeping. With Toma, she was so happy. She smiled and went back to her room. The next morning, Kesia woke up but couldn't find or see her daughter anywhere. Unlike before, her daughter would always wake up before her. She was wondering where would Toma have gone this morning. It's still early to go out. She continued with what she was doing. After 2 hours, she still didn't see her daughter. She decided to go to Toma's room to see if she was there. To her surprise, she saw Toma lying on the bed, lifeless. Her face was pale and her body was still. At first, she thought she was still sleeping. She tried to wake her up, but she wasn't moving. Then Kesia remembered the warning she had received earlier from the strange woman in her dream. The memory of the dream sent chills down her spine. She realized that something had gone wrong. Hiding the secret from her husband, who was away from home, she dressed up immediately and set out on a journey to visit the community chief priest. When she got there, she begged the chief priest for help. "Help me. My child is dying. My daughter is on the verge of death. I cut her hair, but it wasn't my intention to harm her. I only wanted to stop her healing powers. I was always trying to protect her from the villagers. Please do something. Help me. I need my daughter alive. Please." The chief priest replied to her, "What happened, young woman? The only way to bring your daughter back to life is to sacrifice a goat and several food items. Take them to the Hu River by sunset. Drop them there and call upon the goddess to accept your sacrifice." She then began her journey to the river, carrying along with her 7 goats and baskets filled with food items. The path to the river was lined with dense trees, their leaves rustling in the wind. When she got there, she started pleading with the goddess to let her child come back to life. She said, "Oh goddess, I beg you to have mercy on me. I will miss my only daughter. She is all I have. Please have mercy and let her come back to me. Let her live." Just then, a powerful breeze blew and a creepy-looking woman, like a Mamie Water, emerged from the water, laughing loudly. Her laughter echoed through the air, sending shivers down Kesia's spine. "It is very unfortunate that you did not listen to my instruction. I gave you a simple instruction. Not to tamper with your daughter's hair, but out of selfishness, you ignored it. I will not accept your sacrifice. If you seek to get your daughter back, you must offer me something in return. I seek your sanity in exchange for your daughter's life. I will take your sanity." Kesia was silent for a moment. She knew that she had to make a choice. She could either give up her sanity and have her daughter back, or she could keep her sanity and lose her daughter forever. In the end, Kesia chose her daughter. Tears streamed down her face as she nodded and agreed to give up her sanity in exchange. The goddess laughed and disappeared back into the river. The sound of her laughter lingered in the air long after she was gone. Kesia knew that she had made the right decision, even though it meant that she could never be the same again. She never forgot the price she had to pay for her daughter's life. This story teaches us a profound lesson about the importance of honoring promises, heeding warnings, and acting selflessly to protect our loved ones. Kesia's journey reminds us that selfishness, fear, and disbelief can lead to devastating consequences and redemption often comes with a great personal cost. Her sacrifice highlights the power of unconditional love and the courage it takes to prioritize others well, belling over our own comfort. Ultimately, the story encourages us to make thoughtful decisions even when faced with difficult choices, as love and selflessness can pave the way for meaningful outcomes. Thank you for watching my channel. If you enjoyed this story and its valuable lessons, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring and thought-provoking content. Stay tuned for more exciting videos coming your way. Long ago, in the ancient Azu kingdom, there flowed a vast river known as Obana River. The river wasn't just any ordinary water body, it was home to fascinating creatures that looked half human and half fish. The Z people, as the villagers called them, had lived there for generations. The villagers believed the Z people had mystical powers, and many whispered that their songs could calm storms or summon rain during droughts. Every morning, children would rush to the river bank, their small feet kicking up dust as they ran. Look, 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 the mermaids are coming, a child would shout, pointing at the water where blue scales sparkled beneath the surface. The adults would gather too, watching the peaceful scene as Z people swam near the surface, sometimes waving to the humans. The Z people often sang songs in a language no human could understand, their voices blending with the sound of the flowing water to create a mesmerizing melody. The fishermen would carefully navigate their boats around the areas where Z people swam, and there was an unspoken agreement about sharing the river's resources. But peace never lasts forever. One fateful morning, Toma, one of the most respected fishermen in Azu, went out early to cast his net. The sun had barely risen, and mist still clung to the water's surface. As he threw his nets, they landed in an area where young Z children were playing. "Human, you're too close to our children," the Z man shouted, his voice sharp with warning. Toma pulled at his net. "I've been fishing here for 20 years. These waters belong to everyone, not where our children swim." The Z man's face darkened with anger. All the Z people began surfacing, their faces worried. A young mermaid swam too close to one of Tama's nets and became tangled. "My son!" Aziz screamed, diving toward the net. In the chaos, as Z people tried to free the child, and Toma tried to protect his nets, something went terribly wrong. The Z child was hurt, and the angry Z people killed Toma. Toma's body was found floating in the river. The news reached King Dara within the hour. The king sat on his throne, his face growing darker, as the village elder explained what had happened. "Your Majesty," the elder finished, "the people are afraid. If the Z people can kill our best fishermen..." King Dara stood, his voice thundering through the throne room. "Bring me my advisors and send word to every village along the river." That evening, the king made his proclamation from the palace steps. "They have taken one of our own," he thundered, his voice echoing off the stone walls. "From this day forward, no Z person shall be permitted to swim at the surface of Obana River. Any who dare defy this decree shall face immediate death. The peace between our peoples is forever broken." The decree changed everything. The Z folk retreated to the river's bottom, where they established their own kingdom under Malo, a strong and wise Z man who became their king. Malo's rule was marked by efforts to heal the wounded hearts of his people, and he began to train warriors to defend their realm, should humans ever attempt to invade the depths. Years passed, and in the underwater kingdom, life adapted to the darkness of the deep. Malo's daughter, Zara, grew into a curious young mermaid who often asked questions about the world above. One day, while helping her mother prepare their home for a celebration, Zara couldn't contain her curiosity. "Mother," she said, "what's it like at the surface?" Aina paused, memories flickering across her face. "Why do you ask, my dear? I hear the older ones talking sometimes about how things used to be. They mention something called sunlight. What is it?" Aina looked at her daughter. "Sunlight is, imagine the brightest, warmest thing you can think of. It's like that, but more beautiful than you can imagine. It makes everything glow with life, and the humans." Zara's eyes sparkled with interest. "What were they like before? Are they different from us? They walk on two legs instead of swimming with tails. They used to be our friends. Long ago, the children would wave to us, and we'd wave back. Then why can't we talk to them anymore?" "Because fear and anger poisoned both sides," Ina explained. "One terrible day changed everything. Well, we must stay here, where it's safe." But Zara couldn't stop wondering about the surface world. Late at night, when everyone else slept, she would swim as high as she dared, almost but not quite breaking the surface. The faint moonlight that filtered down fascinated her. One morning, King Malo noticed his daughter's distraction during their breakfast. "What troubles you, my daughter?" he asked. "Father, why must we live in darkness? Surely not all humans are cruel." Malo's face grew serious. "Zara, you don't understand the danger. The humans blame us for the death of one of their own. Their king has ordered our death if we are seen at the surface. But that was so long ago. Maybe things have changed." "Some things don't change, my dear. Promise me you won't go to the surface." Zara remained silent, and her father sighed heavily. Meanwhile, in the palace above, Prince Akan was facing his own struggles. His father, King Dara, had summoned him to the throne room for what had become a regular argument. "Son," the king said, "I've received another message from King Tanu." Akan sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. "Father, I understand, but no." King Dara slammed his fist on the table. "Every suitable young woman in the kingdom has been presented to you. What more are you waiting for?" "I want to marry for love," Akan replied quietly. "Is that so wrong?" "Love?" The king scoffed. "Love is a luxury we cannot afford. We need stability." "And what about my future?" Akan asked quietly. "Your future is the kingdom," King Dara shouted. "When will you understand that your personal desires don't matter? They should matter to my father, if not to my king," Akan replied, then immediately regretted his words. "Get out," the king said, his voice dangerously quiet. "Get out of my sight until you're ready to act like the prince you're supposed to be." Seeking solace, Akan found himself walking toward the Obana River. The moon cast a silver path across the water as he settled on a fallen log near the bank. The gentle lapping of waves against the shore always helped calm his troubled mind. That's when he saw her. A head emerged from the water, followed by shoulders and the most beautiful face he had ever seen a mermaid. Her scales had an unusual glittering blue tint. Their eyes met, and for a moment neither moved. "Please," she whispered, "don't call the guards. You shouldn't be here. It's dangerous." "I know," Zara said, moving closer to the bank, "but I had to see what it was like up here. Everything is so different. The air, the sounds, the way light moves. I'm Aiken," he found himself saying. "I'm Zara," she smiled, and Aiken felt his heart skip a beat. "This is my first time seeing the surface. Is that the moon?" "Yes," he said, pointing upward, "and those are stars. They're beautiful." Zara breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "We can see a little bit of light through the water, but nothing like this." They talked for hours that night, sharing stories about their different worlds. Akan told her about life in the palace, the pressure to marry, and his dreams of finding true love. Zara spoke about the underwater kingdom, her father's wisdom, and her burning curiosity about the surface world. Hours passed like minutes. "I should go," Zara said, as the sky began to lighten. "My mother will be worried." "Will you come back tomorrow night?" Aiken asked hopefully. Zara hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, but we must be careful." When she returned home, her mother was waiting. "Where have you been?" Ina demanded, her face pale with worry. I just wanted to see the surface." "Zar, have you lost your mind? They will kill you if they catch you." "Mother, maybe they're not all as cruel as you think." "Not cruel." Ina's voice rose. "They would kill you without a second thought. Promise me you won't go up there again." But Zara couldn't make that promise. Night after night, she and Aiken met by the river. They shared stories, dreams, and eventually their hearts. Their love grew deeper with each meeting. One night, after several months of meetings, Zara arrived looking troubled. "What's wrong?" Aiken asked, immediately concerned. "My father. He's arranging a marriage for me," she said, her voice trembling. Aiken felt his heart constrict. "When?" "In 2 months' time," Zara replied, looking up at him, her eyes glistening with tears. "Aken, I don't want to marry him. I love you." Their first kiss was gentle, tentative, bridging two worlds that had been separated by hatred and fear for so long. Neither of them noticed the rules their love would break until it was too late. Weeks turned into months, and their secret meetings continued. But secrets have a way of revealing themselves. One morning, Zara felt strange. Her swimming felt heavier, and her stomach turned with an unfamiliar sensation. When she told her mother she wasn't feeling well, Ina's experienced eyes widened with recognition. "Your scales are changing color," Ina observed, "and you've been sleeping more than usual. Zara, are you with child?" Zara couldn't meet her mother's gaze. "Yes," she whispered. "Who is the father?" When Zara remained silent, Ina's voice grew sharp. "Zara, who is the father?" "His name is Aken," Zara whispered. He's human." "Human? Have you lost your mind? Do you know what they would do to you, to your child?" "He's not just any human. He's different, Mother. He's kind and understanding." Zara whispered. He's Prince Akin. Ina's face went pale. The son of King Dara. The very king who ordered our banishment. Oh, Zara, what have you done? Devastated.